Hello, everyone. Pastor Trent here at Pleasant Point Community Church, and this is your weekly Sunday recap video. Let's get to it. Easter was a little more than a week ago, yes, but we can still and should celebrate the fact that Jesus is alive and well. He's not hanging on the cross. He's not still in the grave. He is now sitting on the throne as our Savior and King. This week, he continued our Easter series, The Portrait of the Savior, and we looked at Jesus as a loving servant. In John chapter 13, we saw an amazing portrait of Jesus as a loving servant as he washed the feet of the disciples the evening before his crucifixion. It's an incredible picture that we see of Jesus loving and serving his disciples, even though he was well aware of what was about to happen to him. Even though he knew that he was about to get arrested and falsely accused and beaten and brutally murdered, he still spent the time to teach those men around that table what it looks like to humble themselves and to serve those around you. It's important to think about this event through the cultural mindset of the disciples. Washing someone's feet was thought of to be the lowest of the lowly jobs that anyone could have been forced to do. It was even reserved for the lowliest of the slaves and servants. So imagine what was going through the minds of the disciples as they were sitting around this table waiting for the Passover feast, wondering which one of them would be the ones to do such a degrading task for the others. Remember, the disciples on multiple occasions leading up to this point had argued and bickered about which one of them was the best disciple and who was going to sit at Jesus' right hand when he finally did go to the throne. So the last thing that any of them would have been willing to do would be to willingly lower themselves to the role of foot washer as they were jockeying for position of stature and value with Jesus. But that's when you see Jesus do something completely unthinkable. Jesus took off his robe. He wrapped a towel around his waist, grabbed a bowl of water, and began washing their feet. Wow. I'm sure the disciples were shocked by Jesus' actions. This is not how a rabbi, a teacher, someone who had just been welcomed with a kingly parade into the city of Jerusalem was supposed to act. If anyone was deserving of foot washing around that table, it was Jesus. And yet he was the one who was on his hands and knees, wrapped in a towel, culturally humiliating himself by washing their feet. An incredible act of love and sacrifice. An incredible example for us to follow. A little later in the passage, Jesus asked them, he said, "Do you understand what's going on here? You could call me teacher and Lord because that's what I am. But because that's what I am, and now you've seen me wash your feet, follow my example and start washing each other's feet." Both teacher and Lord were great titles for someone in that culture. They were two titles that showed lots of respect and honor towards the person that they were given. And Jesus accepts those titles of respect and honor here. He says, "You're right for calling me these things." But then he says, "And yet, even though those titles are correct, you still see me down here on my hands and knees serving you. You still see me down here humbling myself, sacrificing myself to show you how much I love you." You see, the lesson that Jesus is showing us here is this: the disciple of Jesus, you and I should humbly and sacrificially loving and serve each other, period. That's it. There's no task that is too low when it comes to serving one another. As Christians, we should be following Christ's example and serving each other. Now, this passage isn't necessarily teaching that we should be washing each other's feet. Some people believe that's the extent of what it means to love and serve, but I think that misses the point of what Jesus was trying to teach us here. The lesson here is to live in a way that is completely different than how what the rest of the world wants us to live. The world tells us that it's all about your pride, it's all about your status, it's about your reputation. In the world's eyes, having to serve someone else instead of the one being served is often seen as a slap in the face. And so people say, you mean to tell me that I have to sacrifice my pride? I have to sacrifice my reputation? I have to give up my position and status to serve someone else instead of them serving me? Is that really what Jesus is telling me to do? Yes. That's exactly it. That's exactly what Jesus is saying here. That's exactly what Jesus did for us when he went to the cross. Jesus was telling his disciples, and he's telling us to sacrifice all of ourselves, all of our pride and reputation and everything else for the sake of serving one another. In fact, later on in John chapter 13, verse 34, Jesus gives us a command. He gives us a command that says, love each other. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other. This type of loving, sacrificial service is not a suggestion, it's a command. This is how we as Christians are supposed to live. Just as Jesus loved you, you are to love those around you. Just as Jesus has loved you, you are to love your family and your spouse and your children and your neighbors, everyone, just as Jesus has loved you. Now, this is no small task because sometimes, I'll admit it, I'm not the easiest person to love. And I hope I'm not bursting your bubbles, but neither are you. It's hard to love your family. It's hard to humble yourself and to lay your pride down in order to serve others. But that's exactly what we're commanded to do, because that's what Jesus did for us. Yes, it's hard, but it's what we're supposed to do. Aren't you glad that it wasn't hard for Jesus to do that for us? Aren't you glad that because of God's love for us, that he planned from the very beginning to restore the relationship that we broke with him because of our sin? Aren't you glad that Jesus humbled himself and went to the cross in our place? And the command is simple. If he could do that for us, we should be able to do that for others. And since I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash each other's feet. Jesus says, I have given you an example to follow. Now do as I have done for you. All right, if you've made it to this point in this video, we don't really have any announcements this week, but if you've made it to this point, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that share button too. I'm excited to continue to see what God is going to do in our lives. He's doing some amazing things already, and he's going to continue to do so as we remain obedient to his commands. I'll be praying for each of you this week. Have a great week of serving God and serving one another. I can't wait until we get to gather again. Grace and peace.